Hi, this is Cheryl for Bears Pampered Stampers. Today we're going to assemble Folio 2. This is one of the Photoplay folios. It makes a really cute interactive mini album. This one's 6 by 8 inches according to the front cover, so it's a little taller than it is wide, but it's got lots of cute storage space with plenty of pockets, a waterfall feature, a closed pocket down here, and lots of cool stuff. There's a couple of decorating ideas on the back cover. In this video, we're going to look only at how to put together the naked portfolio, so just the plain cardstock that they've given you. I will have a separate video where we'll talk a little bit more about how to decorate it, and I'll show you a decorated folio too. We'll actually walk through how to do that. So a couple of things you need to do the folio. You need a paper trimmer. There's just a couple of very quick cuts that you do. You need a pair of scissors, a bone folder, a ruler. Why the ruler? Because there's some pieces in the kit and they refer to them by size. They're not marked in any other way. So even though they refer to piece A2 or B1 or something like that, there's no marking on it. So you'll want to verify with a ruler that you've got a piece with the right measurements, the right configuration. And then the last thing you need is a good strong adhesive. They recommend a 3/8 inch tape. I don't have 3/8 inch, so I'm using score tape, 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch. I prefer score tape because I know it's very strong. It's going to hold my album together. Score tape is the one that says Sook Wang on the liner and on the inside, even though it's marketed maybe under a couple of different names. Other tapes you're kind of taking your chance with. For sure, you cannot use a tape runner for this. This is your foundation. You need a very strong adhesive to hold it together. When we get to decorating, you have more choice on adhesive. But at least at this point, stick with the score tape or an equivalent strong double-sided adhesive to get your book assembled. So you need the kit, Folio 2. They're all different, but they're all fun. That's the good news. The instructions begin on the inside of the cover. I always suggest that you read the instructions first before going ahead to put it together. It's easy enough to do, but sometimes a little bit hard to follow the instructions at times. But use your instructions, watch the pictures, watch the video. You'll get through it just fine. This really is a simple album to put together. You can see I've highlighted mine. Just like my school textbooks, they were all mostly highlighted, but it's all good. In any event, let's get started with it. The first piece we're looking for is the cover piece. It's the biggest piece in the kit. It won't fit on my screen, as you can see. We are going to fold this along all the score lines and burnish those lines in place. So we want a good crisp fold on all 4 of those lines. Now the instructions tell us to orient the cover to know which side is right versus left. There's a difference because already I can see like this spine is wider than this one. So which one goes which way? The instructions tell us the spine 1 should be 1 1/4 inches wide. So it's not that one. I have my cover backwards. So I'm going to flip it over. There's my 1 1/4 inch spine. And I know this is how it goes. This is my left cover, and this is my right. I'm going to go ahead and set this back for a minute while we work on some other pages. The next piece we're looking for is a piece that is 5.5 inches wide by 7.5 inches long. And you can see I've already done some pre-work on this. I apologize. my video got interrupted, so I had a couple of steps done. Unfortunately, it's hard to take back when you're working with score tape, but we'll walk through. So you've got the plain piece, which is actually going to look more like this. One score on the side. Yours will not have score tape on. I put that on in advance just to save the time on the video, because that can be kind of like paint drying to watch somebody put score tape on something. So look for the page that's 5.5 inches by 7.5 inches. There's actually 3 in the kit. Any one will be fine. And all we're going to do at this point is fold it along that score line. And we're going to use the bone folder to burnish it in place. Now you can add adhesive at this point, or you can wait until later. It's up to you, but that flap needs adhesive. The next piece we're looking for is 5 inches by 8.5 inches, and it's got score lines on all 3 sides. That's our pocket piece. So it's going to look like this one right here. The first thing we need to do is trim out the corners. And so all you're doing is making a cut where those corners intersect, and it's a straight angle. So you end up with a triangle piece cut out, kind of like you see here. And you'll see me do that on later pockets. Again, I apologize. This is the one thing I had completed, was installing the pocket. Once that's done on both sides, you're going to fold everything in and put your score tape on. What you want to look at your folded pocket and just make sure you've cut enough out at the corners so that these 2 sides, when they're folded in, lay next to each other or a little bit separated, but they don't overlap. If they overlap, cut a little piece out again, another little angle out of the side, so that there's no overlap and your pocket will lay flat. Then we're going to go ahead and install it on our page with the folded side of the pocket right next to the score line and the open part of the pocket toward the side of the page. I like to do this part first and then remove the score tape from the sides and lay those down. If I've got one part straight, chances are pretty good I'm going to get these other 2 right when I put it in. So that gives us our first page. We want to have adhesive on the back of the flap, and you can see I put it on the wrong side. So this is the one instance where you're going to see me put score tape on. Hopefully the one, I don't think I messed anything else up, but you never know with me. So I'm going to add my adhesive to this side of the flap. I'm going to do my 1/4 inch and my 1/8 inch, maybe. I am just the world's worst. Sorry, my pieces were just about to fall off on the floor, and that would have been disastrous because I had them nice and sorted out in order. I don't know if the extra 1/8 inch honestly is necessary, but first of all, it gives me really good coverage on this flap. And then secondly, it can't hurt anything, you know. I'm kind of an overuser of score tape sometimes, and so I'm aware of that, but I feel like 3/8 of an inch probably is right on a 1/2 inch flap. So there we are. Here's our pocket. Score tape on both sides. It won't matter. We're going to cover this over with something later. And I'm going to go ahead and install this then on my pocket. And what I want to do is to install this page just to the left of this first score line. So I'm going to make sure I'm fully in camera view. We don't want to be on top of the score line. On top of the score line makes problems with getting the book open and closed properly. I'm going to go ahead and just remove a part of the score tape. what I do is pull back the liner and just sort of fold it out. That way I can grab those ends and pull the rest out. But this allows me to place the page without having all the score tape exposed and potentially messing things up. And I can see I need to move up just a little on the top. If you need to move, just gently pull your score tape in one direction, straight up or straight down. Don't try and pull it from side to side. You'll have minimal damage to the paper underneath, and you'll be able to go ahead with this. If you accidentally do place a full page and it's stuck, get it up as carefully as you can. Don't worry about the little rips because we will be covering this in the decoration phase, and there's a whole lot you can do to this. A whole lot of mistakes that you can make without having to worry about things. So with my page pretty much in place, I'm going to go ahead and remove more of that score tape. Continue to stick it on down the line until I've got that page installed. And again, we should see the pocket here to the side. And so, yay, we've installed the first page and we're in good shape. We're now moving on to step 6. If you're watching from there, we need another of those 5.5 by 7.5 pages. We're going to fold it along the score line again. Go ahead and burnish that in place. And this one gets another pocket. So here we're looking for a piece that's 2.5 by 6. When you see a piece that just has score lines on 3 sides, that's a pretty good indication that it's a pocket. And here we're going to trim out those corners again. Since I didn't get to show you on the first one, I'm going to show you on this. This is where my score lines intersect. So I'm going to do a diagonal cut through that area. And it just looks like that. And I'll do both sides. And then I can fold my edges up here, varnish them with the bone folder. And we have a lovely looking pocket. And you want to look at it from the outside. You should see a nice tight corner here. And on the other side, I'm going to open on this side and I'm going to make sure I don't have any overlap where those sides meet. I do not. This side, I'm kind of close. So I'm actually going to go in and trim out just a little bit. It's not going to take much because I know I'm close to having it fit, but then I know I have a pocket that's going to lay flat. So what I want to do is bring back my second page, and I'm going to install this pocket at the bottom of the page. So I kind of want to center it. If yours is like mine, it's pretty much exactly going to fit. So I'm going to match the right edge here and match the bottom edge when I install this pocket. So like I did before, I'm going to go and pull the score tape off the bottom part. And it's a short pocket, so I don't feel like I need to do it part at a time. I feel like I can hold on to things pretty well. Line it up and try and press it into place here. Again, I do not want to cover over the score line on this side, so you can see I'm right next to it. I'm going to go ahead and fold it back then and remove the rest of the score tape so that I can finish installing the pocket. And so I can fold that up and just guide it into place. And there's my second page completed, as well as step 9. So we can move to the bottom half of the instructions. It's going quickly. It really works fairly well here. So not a lot of stress. We're going to get this done. So now this one, if you haven't already put the adhesive on, you need to put the adhesive on the back flap of this page. We're going to bring back the album itself and go ahead and install it. This is going to go to the left of the second score line. So I'm going to place my hinge there and I'll be in good shape. Because this is a little bit longer, I'm going to go ahead and just do part of the page at a time, just in case. I should be okay, but stuff happens sometimes, so I want to be careful about it. Now I can go back and pull these tabs of adhesive. Now that I've sort of got it in place and I'm holding it in place, make sure it stays where it needs to be. And go ahead and set it down, and you've got a second pocket page in your folio too. Now we're going to do one of those cutting things that we needed to do for this. There's a piece in your kit that's 3 inches wide by 6 inches. You're going to pull that piece out. It's got a score line on the one side that's about 1 inch in. Take that to your paper trimmer and you're going to cut it in half. So you should end up then with 2 pieces, and you can see I've already pre-cut mine, that are 1.5 inches wide by 6 inches long. Those are going to be some closures we'll use in a few minutes. So at this point, all you really needed to do was cut them apart. We've got them cut. I'm going to set them aside. Next, I'm looking for 5 pieces that are 4.5 by 5.25. They are pre-scored at the top. So you can see that. Well, you kind of can't see that through all my score tape, but there's the score line. We're going to go ahead and put adhesive on the top of all of those pages and then go ahead and fold them back. Fold that flap back away from you and burnish it with your bone folder. Again, now is the time to put the adhesive on too. So just go ahead and do that either before you fold or after you fold, whichever you find easiest. There's our 5th piece. Now we're going to go ahead and install this. This is actually going to make a waterfall that's really cool for the center of our book. So let's bring the folio back into view. We're following instruction 13 at this point. Your first piece is going to go about 3/4 of an inch down. So you can measure or eyeball that. Don't eyeball too far off, because if you do, your pages won't all fit on. But that's about 3/4 of an inch there. You can see that my size doesn't exactly match the book, So I want to center it on there. But that's about where your first page will place. So go ahead and remove that adhesive. Once you get the first one in, it's super, super easy. And again, I'm going to center. I'm going to be about that 3/4 of an inch down. It doesn't have to be precise either on the centering or the 3/4 of an inch. You just want to make sure it's straight, because it's going to throw off your whole book if it's not. Oops, excuse me. And our first waterfall page is installed. That was pretty easy. Now from there, it just gets easier. I grab my second page. It's going to go right underneath the first. What am I worried about? Making sure it stays straight. So watch your score lines on either side. Match it up to the seam there at the top, or the 1/2 inch flap that was folded under. I just kind of find it easier at this point to go ahead and remove all the score tape and throw caution to the wind, lay it down in place. It doesn't have to be exactly touching the one above. It'll be all right if it's a little off. You do want to try and make it straight. That one, I think I might have messed up on that goal just a little bit. Again, these books are very forgiving once you get them decorated, and especially filled with your pictures and mementos. Nobody's going to see the little oopses. No one. You will know they're there, but you kind of need to get over it because it's just such a fun thing for others to see. So again, one by one, we're going to install these waterfall pages on down the line to get your total of 5 in. And here's my last one. This part, I think, is just super easy, don't you think? I always thought waterfalls were so hard to do, but this is just an easy method to do one. And I want to make sure that I'm mostly straight. The person judging me most on this is me, so don't let it stress you out too much if you misplace. I've got my page misplaced a little bit here, so I'm carefully pulling it up. I know I'm pulling some of the back paper with it, and that will happen. You can see I've got the rip there, but you know what? It's not going to show. The only thing I'm going to do is put a little more score tape in that area just to make sure that my page stays in place as I want it to. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on and try again. I have a little trouble seeing. This isn't difficult to do. It's just kind of hard to see around the camera that's sitting in front of my face. And there's my 5th page installed, and I have a waterfall. Is that cool or what? Now we're going to reach back for one of those pieces that we just cut. That's the 1 inch is now 1.5 inches by 6 inches. Go ahead and put score tape on that 1 inch flap that's there. I'm going to go ahead and burnish that with my bone folder. Wow, I can't say that very well today. And then this is going to be placed at the bottom of my page in the center as a closure for that waterfall. So lay it on. Make sure you understand the placement before you start sticking down. And if it's easier for you, lightly mark something with a pencil so you have a reference point. But go ahead and remove your score tape. And stick that in place. Again, we want roughly centered. I think I'm the one that should have marked. Oops. Go ahead and push it in place, and then it'll fold up like that and keep your waterfall wrangled. So we have actually completed step 15, and we're done with this card. Isn't that awesome? There's a second card in the package that continues with step 16 because we have a few more things to do, but we're definitely on the home stretch here. So let me just set this piece back and we'll grab the other pieces here. We're looking for another page. This one's 5.5 by 7.5 again, same size as the other two pages we've installed. Here we want the score line on the right side though, because we've got a page that we're installing on that side. We're looking for another pocket piece. This one is 6 inches by 6.5. Again, get your ruler, measure it, make sure you understand and you have, the right piece. It should only be scored on 3 sides. The reason why I say that is there's another piece in the kit that's 6 by 6, and it's really hard to distinguish from this one, except that it's scored on all 4 sides. Like our other pockets, we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut away those corner pieces. My scissors have gotten really gooey from all the score tape, so I've had a little trouble with that. I'm going to go ahead and fold my sides and my bottom flap. Always burnish with your bone folder because you want good strong creases in these. It doesn't really matter so much which flap you do first or last, just so long as they all get done. Once again, I'll look at my corners from both sides, this side to make sure I don't have overlapping cardstock here, which I don't on either of those sides, and then this side to make sure I have those nice tight corners. This is going to install with the open edge to the top, so there's no folds, no score tape, and it's going to go on this side of the page. So again, you've got your scored part here to the right. Your pocket should center. Again, my pocket is a pretty good match for the page, so I'm not even worrying about the center so much. I'm going to go ahead and align it with the left edge of the page and the bottom. I can go ahead and put that pocket into place. I'll do it half at a time because I'm nearing the end and I'm getting a little paranoid. I had trouble with Folio 2 before. So we're just going to make sure everything goes okay this time. Everything looks lined up to me. So I've got my bottom installed. I'll go ahead and remove the score tape on the sides. At least partially. This is a pretty tall pocket, so I want to give myself just a little bit of breathing room with this. So I'm going to go ahead and remove half the score tape, press it into place, and then I can remove the remaining. Again, if you remember to leave your tabs out to the side so you can grab a hold of them, these liners, It's so much easier than if you fold them inward, then you got to reach in the pocket and try and grab them. So here I want to make sure that I'm following the line of the edge of the page. And then the other one I feel like just sort of falls into place if I do that. I've got half my pocket installed. I'm going to go ahead and do the other half. This one I'll just hold up to make sure that it stays lined up the way I want it to be. And there we have it. We have another pocket successfully installed. Now, if you haven't already, be sure and fold back the flap on your page so that we can get it installed in the book. And we're back to this. We're on the home, almost home on this because we're almost right where we need to be. Now this needs to go just to the right of the first score line. So we're going to place it just like that. I'm going to do part at a time because, again, in the home stretch, I don't want to mess things up. Not that I can't fix it. I've taken apart one of these books from start to finish. It is doable. It's not always pretty, but once you cover it over with your decorative paper, you don't have to see the messes and the oopses. So we'll go ahead and install this right to the right of that first score line for the right side of the book. Again, keep it straight. That's your focus here. Guide it into place. Don't just let it fall. And we've got another pocket page installed. Now we're going to go for the big pocket. So let me just set this aside. You've got one other big piece in your kit. It looks like this. Kind of looks like a big old file folder. So we're going to open that up, and the first thing we want to do is to fold it on all of the vertical score lines. Now what you want to do is pay attention to the fact that this is gusseted, so there's always two score lines together. This one was pre-folded for me, but I'm going to go ahead and burnish it with the bone folder because they don't do that part for you. And then I'm going to find its companion line, which is right underneath, and fold along that. The gussets make sure this pocket holds a lot, which is kind of cool. It can hold some bulky items if you need it to. So I've got two there. I need two at the bottom. So here's my first one. And here is my second. So I've got 4 lines, 2 down here and 2 up here. And what that leaves me with is a pocket that's going to be that wide. Now we need to do our side folds here at the bottom. You've got Mountain Valley, Valley Mountain. You've already got one folded in for you, so go ahead and burnish that into place. The next one we're going to fold out. If you think we're making an accordion here, you're absolutely right. And then the final one folds back in. I go ahead and burnish those separately because I think that gives me good crisp folds and an accordion that stays in place and isn't unruly. So we're going to go ahead and do that on the other side as well. Again, your first fold is done for you. So you don't have to figure out which one has to go which way. Just follow what they've done. You're okay. Continue to make your accordion. And burnish it into place. Now what we want to do is I want to make sure we hadn't passed that page. So we're in step 20 and 21 here. We've got the accordion made here. This is the top of the pocket. This is the bottom. So what I need to do now is to put score tape on these flaps, and we're going to fold it up and we're going to make that pocket. Again, remembering that we have a dimensional pocket down here. So don't fold it flat like this. Make sure you pop that up when you set that accordion into place. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the score tape. On one side, and for this I will do it one side at a time because I'm working on an accordion and I want to make sure that everything, I want my pocket to stay dimensional, I want it to be square, I want it all. So there we go, set it into place, and you should have something looking like that. We're going to go ahead and remove the liner on the other side. Not too difficult because we have all that extra hanging around there that makes the pocket dimensional as it is. And I'm going to make sure my bottom is folded up properly before I go ahead and press this side into place. So I end up with this lovely accordion pocket. Isn't that fun? The top will fold the same way. So again, I've got a lot of space for storing photos and memories and all sorts of cool things. So the only thing this has to do is get in the book. We're moving to step 22, which is on the back. We want adhesive all across the back of this pocket. Use as much as you think is appropriate, keeping in mind that there is some stress on this. As people open and place things in, you really want it to stay stuck to your page. So I went with the amount of adhesive that they actually pictured here. So I've got each side and then 3 strips in the middle. But again, use what you think is right. I didn't bother with my my 1/8" tape on this because I felt like there was enough. But if you feel like you want more, go ahead and put more in. Nobody's going to judge you for that. Now the pocket gets installed on this far right panel, and it's going to be sort of flush with the edge. So that's what you're trying to focus for, is lining up. If I showed it on camera, it would be better. This corner. This one we're going to take slow. We're not going to remove all that score tape at the same time because that's just kooky. I'm going to go ahead, since I want this corner lined up, and I'm going to remove part of the liner on this first strip. I'm going to go ahead and fold this top flat so I can see what I'm matching to. And I'll go ahead and lay that in place. I want it to match exactly the side of that page all the way up. So I'll hold it in place, remove the rest of my liner, and then just guide it to make sure that it goes exactly where I want it to. Now I can fold my top back where it belongs, and I'm okay. Now I've got the whole rest of it that needs to get adhered. So I need to carefully, one strip at a time, remove this liner tape. Because I've got a whole edge adhered, I'm going to be brave and I'm just going to remove it all, but hang on to it so it doesn't fall down and just do what it wants. You are actually going to guide this thing into place. So get all those liners off. And here we go. With my back cover flat, I'm going to go ahead and guide this pocket in. Press it into place, and will you look at that? How cool is that pocket? That is just so, so fun. We're almost at the end. We have one more piece to install. Actually, two more pieces. Well, maybe three. We need a 6x6 piece. It should be the only piece you have left over at this point. It's scored on all four sides. What you need to do is take this to your paper trimmer, lay it diagonally across the cut line, and cut it into 2 triangles. It's not difficult. The main thing is to make sure that your 2 points, top and bottom, are right along that cut line, and then go for it. Now you've got 2 pockets that we'll go ahead and install in the album. So first thing we have to do is prep our pockets. We've done that before, so we've got to cut this corner out because we don't want any bulk here. And then we also need to cut these parts out at the top and the bottom to make sure there aren't any little points that fly into the album. So what I've done is cut my usual angle out at the bottom, cut the points off on either side. Then I can go ahead and fold those in. This time I only have 2 sides to fold. And I'm going to check down here, make sure I don't have overlap, which I don't. I have a nice point on the front. I don't have much showing here, but I'm going to go ahead and trim just a little bit more here at the top. When I close this up, I want to see a nice crisp point. Same thing on the bottom. It looks like my bottom needs a little trimming too. Oops, sorry, my camera's falling over right now. And there we go. There's one pocket ready to install. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my book back over. And we're installing the pockets on either side of the waterfall. So it kind of matches up with this side of this page. This is actually the second page in the book. Again, if I bring it on camera, it'd be easier for you to see. It should match the corner of this page, and it won't overlap then into your score lines or your corner edges of pages or anything like that. So go ahead and remove your score tape. Either remove it all or remove part, whichever you feel most comfortable with at this time. It seems a little difficult to place, but it's actually fairly easily done. So just hang with me and you'll be all right. So I'm matching my corners. I'm going to watch my bottom edge and make sure that's even with my page. And then I should have no problem pulling it up right on the left side of that page. when I press it into place, I have this lovely corner pocket. Now I'm going to use the second pocket the same way. I need to do all those things that I did with the first one. So I'm going to trim my corners first. And then trim my points. Oops, pulled it the wrong way. And we'll go ahead and burnish those sides. Make sure I have a good solid pocket here. I don't have any overlap down there, so I'm good. My top point looks good. My bottom point looks good, and this one looks great. So this is going to be kind of an opposite of the first pocket / pocket we put in. It's going to go on the other side of the waterfall, just like this. So it's going to match up with, not that you can see, sorry, the right side of the page. And so I'm going to go ahead and remove my score tape. I'm going to line up my corners, line up my bottom edges, and then my side edge should just fall into place. But I always want to make sure, I always want to guide it in. Now, if you're keeping track, there's one more piece left, and that's the other half of this piece, which is now 1.5 by 6 inches. This we're going to put on the front cover as a closure mechanism. So we want it on the inside, centered. I'm going to go ahead and fold it on that 1-inch score line and burnish it with my bone folder. And it should go in just like that, centered on the page. You can raise or lower it if there's a reason why you want to do that. You know, go ahead and do that. It's not a problem. But this will help to keep the whole book then closed. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the score tape liner. And put that into place. So there we have that. So guess what? Now you've just completed folio number 2. Isn't it cool? I think I folded that in wrong. Let's do it this way. Pages, pages, pages. And then this can extend around the outside. We'll talk about closure. This did not come with any magnets. For closure, you can get those small magnets and use those, or I prefer the small circles of Velcro. Looks like this. The magnets are great, but when you have 2-3 layers of paper in between them, they don't hold as well as you might want. And so the Velcro will do a better job. But hold off with that. We'll go over that when we talk about decorating folio 2. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.